Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel that is a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @DougPless. And by the way, Bookmap Discord is free and available for everyone, whether you subscribe to Bookmap or not. There's a lot of great content there. Everyone is welcome again. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as the directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be talking about setups in an underlying asset, and those setups can be taken any number of ways. For example, the S&P 500 setups can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. All right, here's my agenda for today, Thursday, November 30th. First of all, I want to talk about news items, economic data, and events for today as well as the rest of the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis from this morning. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. Then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I will be glad to do that. All right, let's get started with news items. So first of all, there was some economic data, an economic data report out this morning, PCE. So let's go take a look at that. Oops, I didn't bring that over. Give me just a moment. So this is the PCE data that came out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, mostly in line with forecast and lower than the previous number. So inflation continues to cool, and there was really no market reaction at all to this information. And again, mostly in line with forecast and lower than previous. All right, then Friday, PCI data comes out at 10 a.m. and then Jerome Powell will be speaking at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And that should wrap up the week. All right, let's start with positional analysis now. And hello, Joel. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, I'm going to start with the S&P 500. This is the ES futures in Bookmap. Before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to take a look at a larger time frame. So I'm going to go to an SPX chart. This is a 30-day, 1-hour chart. I want to point out a couple of key turning points on this chart. First of all, this is October 30th, when the current rally began. The Friday before, traders were loading up on puts, concerned about weekend risk. Then after the weekend, price started rising, implied volatility dropped. Market makers could buy back short futures, and that led to a huge IV collapse, put Vanna rally, starting with a very negative gamma position. Again, market makers could buy back their short futures as implied volatility dropped, price increased. And during this time, market makers' position on the gamma curve was shifting from negative to positive, and now maybe shifting back towards negative. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then the next key turning point was the CPI report that came in better than expected. That was on Tuesday, November 14th. And then the positive gamma grind up continued after that big jump up with the CPI data. All right, I'm going to zoom in on half of this chart, so I can just focus on the price action today and the levels on the chart. So first of all, I do want to point out levels on the chart. I'm going to start with the lower and upper weekly expected move, shown by the dashed purple lines, and SPX is trading within that range. That's based on the options market. That changes once a day. Hello, Don. Welcome. Glad you're here. The dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move, also based on the options market. That changes once a day. I update that every day. And SPX is trading within both of those ranges. All right, the next levels that I want to point out are the Spotgamma levels. These are proprietary Spotgamma levels provided to subscribers, shown on a variety of platforms. Here we're looking at Thinkorswim. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. So first of all, the put wall has moved. So first of all, again, the level, what I want to start with is the absolute gamma strike, 4,500. That's a strike with the largest absolute negative and positive gamma. And then kind of strangely, up above that is the put wall at 4,530. Probably won't remain there. And I'll take a look at the absolute gamma strikes in just a minute, and we'll see why. That's kind of an I guess an anomaly. The 4,530 put wall, again, that did move up from 4,400 yesterday. The next level up is the volatility trigger at 4,560. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility. And note that SPX is currently trading below its volatility trigger. And then up above that, the next level is the 4,600 call wall. That's a strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. All right, those are the key daily levels. All right, let's take a look at a one-day chart just to get a closer look of the levels, look at the SPX levels that are in play for today. This is about 2 days worth of data for SPX. Here's the volatility trigger, 4,560. Note that level acting as resistance early in the morning, just after the cash open. Then here's this 45.50 level, kind of in the middle of the big range. We'll take a look at it in just a minute between I guess the kind of really the narrow range, but the range of concentration of gamma weighted open interest. 45.50 being in the middle, a lot of oscillation up and down around that level earlier this morning, but generally lower highs, trending lower. All right, so that is a one-day level, one-day chart. All right, let's take a look at these absolute gamma strikes. And let me zoom in on this chart. So this is SPX, absolute gamma strikes. Orange bars above the zero line showing call gamma, and blue bars below the zero line showing put gamma. All right, here's the range that I'm talking about. $4,500. That's the absolute gamma strike. To 4,600. That's the call wall. And note the put wall is the strike with the largest net negative gamma, expected to act as support. And let's see if we can find that. So it's really put gamma minus call gamma. So it just so happens this 45.30 strike meets that criteria, the largest net negative gamma. But it certainly does not have the largest overall negative gamma. All right, let's go back to Bookmap now. So Bookmap, this is ES Futures. I have my own cloud notes. So I can show the SPX levels. There's that 45.60 volatility trigger acting as resistance from about 9 a.m. Eastern Time up to the cash open when price started to drop. And note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX. And today it is right around 8 points. So ES minus SPX, slightly above 8, but I'm using 8. So ES minus SPX equals 8. That changes a little bit every day, and it gets smaller and smaller as the contract rollover approaches. So I'm showing SPX 45.60 at ES 45.68. And here's that 45.50 level that I mentioned before, in the middle of that range of gamma concentration of gamma weighted open interest between 4,500 and 4,600. I also have SPY levels on this chart. Here's the SPY 456 volatility trigger. So this is showing that SPX, the S&P 500, trading both below both the SPY and SPX volatility triggers. All right, shifts in levels. SPX, as I mentioned before, the put wall shifted higher. Also, the volatility trigger shifted higher to 45.60. So 2 shifts higher for the SPX. Again, that kind of strange strike for the put wall probably will not remain there. Then also for SPY, the volatility trigger also shifted higher to 456, as shown on this chart. All right, those are the levels in play for today. Resistance shown above before the cash opened at this 45.69 level. That was a level, SPX level, noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. And then after the cash open, the 45.60 level, also noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. So they nailed those two resistance levels. Support level yet to be determined today. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. All right, this is the NQ futures and Bookmap. And before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to take a look at a larger time frame. I'm sorry. I want to take a look at a QQQ chart to isolate the QQQ levels in play for today. So this is QQQ, a one-day chart. Note 390. The absolute gamma strike that was in play yesterday, acting as more or less resistance or a launching point for a short today. 389 is the volatility trigger, acting as resistance. And now this 386, 386.02 combo L1 level that combines QQQ and NDX, gamma weighted open interest, into one combined level, in this case in terms of QQQ price. So that may be currently acting as support, maybe support for the day. We'll see. All right, so that's QQQ. There were no shifts in levels for QQQ. And again, note that QQQ is trading below its volatility trigger, just like SPY and SPX. All right, let's take a look at NDX. So here for NDX, this 16,000 level, that is very close to the QQQ 390 level. It's been in play for the last few days, now acting as resistance. And here's that combo level acting as support. In this case, in terms of NDX price, let me zoom in on this. So the combo level, and right around that is the 15,825 level. That is the call wall and the absolute gamma strike for NDX. So a very important level for NDX, acting as support so far today, yet to be determined for the day. So here's that cluster of levels. The 386 combo level, I think that was 386.02, as well as the NDX 15,825 absolute gamma strike call wall. And here's the 389 level, QQQ 389 level, acting as resistance. So I have my own cloud notes here for NQ. So I'm showing NDX levels, 16,390, QQQ levels, 389 volatility trigger, as well as the big round numbers for NASDAQ, the zeros and the 50s. Note that NQ is trading below its lower daily expected move. Oops, that kind of obscured that label. This purple line is the lower weekly expected move for NQ. All right, so those are the levels in play for today. primarily the QQQ 389, and now the NDX 15,825 and the QQQ 386 level. And again, there were no shifts in levels for QQQ or NDX. All right, let's take a look at gamma notional to see how market makers were positioned on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. This information is updated once a day, available to Spotgamma subscribers. I'm looking at the data that's included at the end of the AM Founders Note. Note, with the exception of SPY, these numbers are all positive. So I'm looking at gamma notional, market makers' position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day for the S&P 500, NASDAQ, and Russell 2000. Again, all numbers positive except for SPY. For the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, these numbers did shift lower. So over the last few days, these numbers, especially for SPY, have been shifting gradually more negative. Excuse me. So again, for today, S&P 500, gamma notional, both shifted either less positive or more negative in the case of SPY. And for the IWM, the Russell 2000, these numbers did shift slightly higher. So in a positive gamma environment, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive gamma environment. That means that they are long calls, traders of short calls, market makers of long calls. They have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. And for SPY, in a negative gamma environment, this means that traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, and they have to trade in the direction of price to hedge their delta exposure. All right, let's take a look at the Vanna model so we can get a graphical representation of what that means. This is SPX. We'll start with SPX. What this chart is showing is market makers' delta notional on the vertical axis and the spot price for SPX on the horizontal axis. There are two curves on this chart. The first curve is showing how market makers' delta notional may change with changes in price only, and the purple curve adds implied volatility to the equation. That shows how market makers' delta notional may change with changes in price and implied volatility, and that change in delta with the change in implied volatility is the Vanna effect. Vanna is a second order Greek, and that's the curve that we want to take a look at. All right, so let's check on current price. Price for SPX right around 45.38. So remember, SPX is currently trading below its volatility trigger, potentially shifting to a more negative gamma environment. So what this means, if price continues to decrease, market makers will need to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase the move lower. All right, let's take a look at SPY. Remember, SPY gamma notional is negative. SPY currently trading right around 453. So also on this negative gamma portion of the Vanna model, indicating if price continues to drop, implied volatility increases, market makers will need to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure, again enhancing or increasing the move lower. On the other hand, if price increases, market makers can buy back short futures, and that tends to enhance or increase a rally. And let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ currently trading right around 386, right around the low of the day, that combo level. So right around here, so pretty firmly on this negative gamma portion of the Vanna model. All right, so based on this, my thesis for the day, I was looking for volatility to start picking up. Gamma notional has been gradually decreasing, becoming more negative for SPY, and gradually decreasing for SPX, also gradually decreasing for the NASDAQ. So looking for volatility to pick up as gamma notional becomes less positive and starts to shift to negative. All right, let's take a look at some setups now. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. First of all, I want to see what options traders are doing. So this chart is the HERO signal. HERO stands for Hedging Impact Real-Time Options. So everything that we've looked at so far, other than Bookmap, has been static data that's updated once a day. Most of the information is based on open interest that is updated once a day, sometime during the night. Spotgamma applies their own proprietary algorithms to this data to come up with the levels, the Vanna model, and all the information on the website. This, on the other hand, is real-time data. So this chart is showing price for SPX with the white line. The purple line is the HERO signal, again, Hedging Impact Real-Time Options. So it's showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures, all into one combined signal. And Spotgamma does provide signals for these individual components. I like to look at the combined signal. Let's zoom in on this chart. Overall, notice the very choppy action, and this is exactly what Spotgamma anticipated today. Mean reverting price action, but with I guess a bearish bent. Looking in a mean reverting market, we'd be looking to buy dips and sell rips, and Spotgamma was leaning bearish, so they were looking at really just selling the rips, not buying the dips. The HERO signal is really showing that mean reverting options trades, options traders selling the highs, buying the lows. And let's just focus on one setup from this morning. Is this short right at the cash open? This is the cash open at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Traders were taking negative delta positions, and price responded lower. Let's take a look and see what traders were doing. We can separate out puts and calls, and this is pretty clearly showing that from the open, traders were buying puts. That's shown by the falling blue line. When traders buy puts, market makers sell the puts, and they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. Sorry about that. Spotgamma still working on this this issue. So traders were buying puts in the morning at the open. So let's go take a look at Bookmap. We'll take a look at that setup. Let's go back to ES. I'm going to zoom in a bit here. First of all, this was the reaction after the PCE data, an initial bullish response. You can see the aggressive buyers that's shown by the green volume dots. The volume dots are showing market buy minus sell. Green dots indicate more buyers than sellers. The magenta dots are showing more sellers than buyers. So price moves up just above that 45.69 level, noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note, and then aggressive sellers start to come in, move price lower, and then at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, traders start buying puts. Aggressive sellers start to come in. Price reverses lower at the 45.60 volatility trigger resistance level. Also VWAP right there shown by the light blue line. Pretty choppy action on the way down. Again, remember that hero signal was moving up and down as traders were buying, taking positive delta and negative delta positions as price oscillated up and down. But as Spotgamma called it, really the best trades were to look to sell the rips, not buy the dips. All right, so that's the setup in the SP 500. And Slotazari says, NVIDIA sharp move lower all day. Yeah, we'll take a look at NVIDIA. That is on my list of stocks to take a look at. And hello, Floyd's Garage. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, so that's the SP 500. So if you took a short at the open and are still holding a runner, you're doing pretty well today. Or just sold every one of these touches of this either VWAP or this trend line lower. Note these levels of high liquidity shown in the heat map, Bookmap heat map. The heat map shows a history of the limit orders in the order book, and initially there were some orders right around 45, 48. Looks like those orders were consumed. So there's a limit buy orders, and then now there are many more limit buy orders coming in, anywhere from looks like 45, 43 to 45, 45. So that's the heat map in Bookmap showing a history of the limit orders in the order book. So it looks like now ES is trying to break that downtrend lower, supported by all this liquidity in the order book. Let's go back to Hero. Let's see what options traders are doing right now. So it looks like overall now, at least for this swing, traders are taking positive delta positions. And Hero has generally been making higher lows since about 1045. And let's take a look at a couple things. First of all, separate out puts and calls. I'm going to do this quickly. So far today, traders are buying calls. They're also buying puts. Put buyers more aggressive. These are pretty small numbers. Notional value 187 for calls, minus 619 for puts. All right, let's take a look at for a total notional value minus 432. Again, a very small number. That number typically for the S&P 500 could be in the billions. All right, let's take a look at see what traders are doing today. And a very different picture here. Looking at the green line, this is showing options trades that expire today, 0 DTE for the S&P 500, and they are bullish. This notional value for 0 DTE trades is bullish. Again, that's shown by the green line. Whereas the all trades, all expirations, is still negative, but is shifting, starting to shift positive. All right, so SPX, the S&P 500 may be finding support. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ now. NASDAQ has been weaker today. Very different picture for this hero signal for NASDAQ, trending down since about 10:15. This is a combined signal for NDX and QQQ, just like the S&P 500. Zoom in on this. And right around 10:15, 10:20, traders start taking negative delta positions. And so far today, that is continuing. Let's see what they're doing. So they're both selling calls, shown by the falling orange line, and buying puts, shown by the falling blue line. So unlike the S&P 500, where they're buying calls and buying puts, in the case of NASDAQ, they are selling calls and buying puts. Sorry about that. All right, so we know that traders started taking negative delta positions right around 10:15, 10:20. There's another signal that provides very valuable information for really both the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. This is the Magnificent 7 hero signal that's showing a combined hero signal for the stocks known as the Magnificent 7: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. And this has been trending down all day. And there's this 10:15, 10:20 short setup. And it looks like now hero may be leveling off as NASDAQ probably continues to find support at the QQQ 386 level, that combo level. So let's just take a quick look at what they're doing in Magnificent 7. So they are selling calls and buying puts, just like NASDAQ, shown by the falling orange and blue lines. All right, let's go take a look at the Bookmap at NASDAQ. So remember, traders started taking negative delta positions about 10:15, 10:20. And there's that short entry point right at the QQQ 389 volatility trigger that acted as resistance. And you can see on the way up, aggressive buyers shown by the green volume dots. Then aggressive sellers start to come in, shown by the magenta volume dots. Let me zoom in on this. We can see this more clearly. Aggressive buyers on the way up, volume dots get smaller. Aggressive sellers, and NASDAQ starts to make a series of lower highs. And the primary price target at this cluster of levels, the 386 level, that is obscured, but it is showing the NDX 825 level, absolute gamma strike and call wall, and then that combo level is actually shown here in terms of the NDX. That is also equivalent to the QQQ 386.02 level. Target there. As NASDAQ continues to make a series of lower highs. All right, so that was the morning setup in NASDAQ. So if you got short, in the case of NASDAQ around 10:15 or even at the open and held the runner, you're doing pretty well today. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. I'm going to start with Apple. Let's go take a look at Hero and see what options traders are doing in Apple. Note Apple, the 190 key gamma strike, acting as resistance. Let's zoom in on this chart. So in the morning, let's zoom in on this. Note the call line, the orange line, is pretty flat. Traders not doing much with calls. They weren't buying or selling calls. Sorry about that. So they were not buying or selling calls. The call line is flat until right around 10:40. A large block order comes in. Meanwhile, they were buying puts. When traders buy puts, market makers sell the puts, and they have to sell stock to hedge their delta exposure. So let's go take a look at Bookmap. So not a lot of range in Apple. That's pretty typical. It's not a big mover, but a very clear short setup as traders were buying calls and price reversed at the 190 key gamma strike. All right, the next is Netflix. I've got a few stocks I want to take a look at, and if anyone has any other stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, Netflix. It's not shown on this chart. I only mark the round number levels for stocks, but 477.50 is the hedge wall, and more or less acted as resistance today. Good launching point for a short. So let's go see what options traders were doing in Netflix. And Netflix is a stock that is very heavily influenced by options trading. When traders buy and sell calls and puts in Netflix, it looks like market makers hedge pretty quickly, hedge immediately. That's what Tesla used to trade like that. It still does sometimes. So notice here there are a couple of timely flow alerts. These are alerts that signal significant options activity, can often signal mean reversion. Here's the 477.50 hedge wall that I mentioned. Just above that, the 480 key gamma strike. And price starts to move lower as price reverses down as options traders started taking negative delta positions, shown by the falling purple line, and price reverses at the hedge wall, 477.50. Let's just see what traders are doing. So right around 10 a.m., they start selling calls and buying puts, shown by the falling orange line and the falling blue line. And this is a kind of a mirror image of a very typical pattern in a bullish market. At the open, traders start taking positive delta positions, often buying calls in these stocks, and price will move up until about 11 or 12, and then options traders will take their foot off the gas and price consolidates. That is often a good place to sell a call spread or buy a put spread, and in this case it's just a mirror image of that. Options traders take their foot off the gas. Note the very flat hero line, and price stops moving lower and consolidates. Let's go back to Bookmap. Note that 470 is the put wall. Options traders take their foot off the gas just a little after 11 a.m. and now price is moving sideways up and down around 472, 473. All right, Joel, we'll take a look at VIX in a minute. All right, so Slota's already pointed out NVIDIA. If you're bold, NVIDIA is not having a very good day today. All right, let's take a look and see what options traders are doing. Tone down the volume dots just a little bit. So let's go take a look at Hero for NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, here's the 480 key gamma strike. Price reverses lower at that level. Zoom in on this just a little bit. Note the very timely flow alert. If you took a short when you got that alert, you're having a very good day. Either buying a put or selling stock. Note there was some consolidation, looks like just below the 477.50 hedge wall. So NVIDIA today, traders are primarily selling calls. That's shown by the falling orange line. When traders sell calls, market makers buy the calls, and they have to sell stock to hedge their delta exposure. And now NVIDIA is trading below its 470 put wall. All right, the next is Tesla. Let's go to Hero Signal for Tesla. Kind of a choppy up and down today. So Tesla is having its Cybertruck event at 3 p.m. Eastern today. So we'll see how options traders are positioning themselves ahead of that announcement and event. So kind of a choppy day in Tesla. Here, market makers responding very quickly to options trades as traders buy and sell puts and calls. Market makers are hedging that activity immediately. So there's a very strong correlation between options trades, market maker hedging activity shown with the hero signal here, and price action shown with a white line. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Tone down the volume dots. So we're overall negative trend, moving down for Tesla. And yesterday, Tesla was trading up above its 250 call wall. Good time to exit any long positions, which is what I did. All right, so there's Tesla. Looks like a lot of aggressive buyers in Tesla, shown by the green volume dots as well as the rising CVD, cumulative volume delta. Let's go back to Hero. So net for the day, traders are taking negative delta positions, shown by the negative notional value there. All right, let's take a look at VIX now. Joel wants to take a look at VIX. And again, I'll be glad to look at any stocks you want me to take a look at. Please let me know. So here's VIX. So far the day, traders are taking negative delta positions in VIX. So they're buying puts and selling calls. Let's just see what VIX is doing today. So this is today, right here. So VIX was rising up until about 1 p.m., now dropping. And only slightly higher for today, just a little bit less than 1% higher. All right, so options traders betting on a move lower in VIX. Kind of a strange trade, considering the how low VIX is. Definitely in the lower end of its range. All right, let's again, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. Otherwise, let's circle back to the S&P 500. So Hero definitely moving higher. Price not responding that much. Note the flow alert here. That could be a mean reversion signal. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go back to ES. And hello VHU, welcome, glad you're here. All right, so the S&P 500 has definitely broken this downtrend. Broken above this resistance level here at 45.46. Maybe finding support there, we'll see. Options traders taking positive delta positions. They have been for a while. Let's check on NASDAQ. Still stuck in a range between QQQ 386 and QQQ 387. Let's see what options traders are doing in NASDAQ as well as the Magnificent Seven. All right, looking at a very short time frame here, options traders are taking positive delta positions. Looks like that has flattened off, leveled off now. But the drop in the hero signal has definitely slowed down, maybe reversing, we'll see. Let's check the Magnificent Seven. All right, so it looks like hero here making equal lows, maybe trying to move higher. Some traders may be taking advantage of lower prices in these stocks to either take positive delta positions or just buy the stock. So Nvidia continues to consolidate below its put wall. Netflix also consolidating. Apple may be starting to move higher. Check on Microsoft. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. All right, last call. Anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? Let's just take a look at one thing. Let's go back and check VIX. I don't know, VIX may be reversing higher. All right, so the S&P 500 looking a little bit more bullish than the NASDAQ. Let's just take a look at one thing here on Thinkorswim. Look at the heat map. So this is a heat map for the S&P 500. This is pretty clearly showing what is the stocks that are moving both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ lower. NVIDIA, Broadcom, Google, Meta, Amazon, Tesla. So most of the Magnificent Seven. Microsoft also negative for the day, and Apple as well, but not to the extent of some of these other stocks. The only standouts really today are CRM and a handful of enterprise software stocks. CRM, ServiceNow, also cybersecurity has been very strong recently. Palo Alto Networks. All right, so Shane asking about SOX. I'm sorry, I don't have that. That's just an index. I don't think that'll be in Hero. Joel wants to take a look at gold and USO. We'll do that quickly, then I'll wrap it up. All right, so let's go to Hero again. I don't have gold or USO in Bookmap, so we'll go to Hero. Take a look at GLD. Choppy day in gold, very, very low notional value. But there does seem to be a pretty strong correlation between options trades and GLD. And USO. Also very, very small notional value. But overall positive, traders taking positive delta positions in USO. All right, everyone, my time is up. I want to thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your questions and comments. And remember, tomorrow, PCI data comes out at 10 a.m. and Jerome Powell will be speaking at 11 a.m. and we'll talk about it tomorrow afternoon. All right, thanks everyone, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.